Coming up, we're telling the story of a folk singer who spent years playing dive bars and college cafeterias for pocket change. This is before he finally broke through in his 30s. This Philadelphia everyman wrote songs on the back of pickup trucks between construction jobs, pouring his heart into tales about working stiffs, lost love, and fleeting moments. His warm baritone and finger-picking guitar work created intimate 3-minute short stories that felt like conversations with an old friend. Tragically, just as he reached the summit, his life was cut short in the cruelest way imaginable. But his songs, the songs he left behind, they became timeless classics that still move us decades later. It's a bittersweet journey on our latest edition of Short and Sweet. Let's do it. Hey, music junkies, in our latest edition of Short and Sweet, where we break down an iconic artist and their top 3 songs in less than 10 minutes, we celebrate Jim Croce, one of the most authentic storytellers in popular music history. Jim was never supposed to make it big, but by his early 30s, he'd been grinding away at music for over a decade with little to show for it. He released one album in 1969, and it completely bombed. It left him broke and very discouraged. But Jim, he just kept writing. He kept playing. He kept believing that someday his songs would connect with someone. The story begins in South Philadelphia in 1943. Jim Croce grew up in an Italian-American family where music was everywhere. His parents played Italian folk songs and opera around the house. Now, as a teen, Jim fell in love with folk music and taught himself guitar. In the early 60s, Croce attended Villanova, where he started performing at coffee houses and campus events. That's where he started to get his play. It was there that he met Ingrid Jacobson, a fellow musician who would become his wife and musical partner. After graduating in 1965, Jim and Ingrid hit the college circuit together, driving from gig to gig in a beat-up truck, sleeping in the vehicle because they couldn't afford a motel. The pay was terrible. The audiences were pretty small. But Jim was honing his craft and learning to write songs that captured real life. In 1969, Capitol Records gave him a shot. He released the album, Jim and Ingrid Croce.
I had myself a million, now I've only got a dime.
It went nowhere. The label actually dropped him immediately after. Jim was crushed. Music wasn't paying the bills. So Jim had to take on construction jobs. He drove trucks and taught guitar lessons to put food on the table. But he never stopped writing. During lunch breaks on construction sites, Jim scribbled down lyrics. Late at night, he'd sit with his guitar and work out melodies. These were songs about real people living real lives. Real. Everything changed, though, when Jim sent a demo to a former college roommate who knew people in the music business. That tape found its way to Tommy West and Terry Cashman, a production team looking for authentic songwriters. They definitely heard something special in Jim's music. Then in 1972, ABC Records signed Croce, and West and Cashman produced his breakthrough album, You Don't Mess Around with Jim. Now, the title track, that became Jim's first hit. It climbed all the way to number 8 on the Hot 100. Finally, after a decade of struggle, Jim Croce had made it. He found success. The album produced 2 more hits and established Jim as a major force in early 70s pop. That was follow-up album, Life and Times. That was even bigger, spawning multiple hits, including the number 1 smash, Bad Bad Leroy Brown. For a brief moment, it seemed like Jim Croce had finally made it. He was playing sold-out shows, his albums were going gold, and he was being recognized as one of the finest songwriters of his generation. And he did this all at a much older age than your average recording artist. I mean, he was 30, going into his 30s. Then came September 20th, 1973. Jim had just finished a concert at Northwestern State University in Louisiana. He boarded a chartered plane to fly to Texas for his next show. Shortly after takeoff, the plane crashed into a tree, killing everyone on board. Jim Croce was only 30 years old. He left behind his wife, Ingrid, and their son, AJ, who was only 2 years old. Compounding the tragedy, a few months before his death, Jim had sent a letter to Ingrid telling her that after the tour ended, he was quitting the music business altogether. He wanted to find a way to earn a living that wouldn't take him away from his wife and son. He wanted to spend more time with them. In the aftermath, Jim's final album, I Got a Name, was released, featuring songs he'd recorded just weeks before his death. 2 tracks became posthumous hits, the title song from that and the haunting ballad Time in a Bottle.
I've got a name, I've got a name. If I could save time in a bottle.
Jim Croce's catalog, it's not massive, just a handful of albums to his name, but every song feels essential. His gentle guitar work and conversational vocal style made you feel like he was singing directly to you. There was no pretense, just honest stories about ordinary people. Here are my top 3 Jim Croce picks, his best songs. Coming in at number 3, I've got Operator, That's Not the Way It Feels.
Operator, oh, could you help me place this call?
This track appeared on Jim's 1972 breakthrough album, You Don't Mess Around with Jim. The song tells a story of a man trying to call his ex-girlfriend only to discover she's with his best friend. It's a conversation with a telephone operator, a lost art.
See, the number on the matchbook is old and faded.
Through that simple framework, Jim painted a portrait of heartbreak that's almost unbearably real. Man, this song is so powerful.
Living in L.A.
What makes it so powerful, really, is its restraint. Jim doesn't oversell the emotion here. His vocal is measured, almost matter-of-fact, which makes the pain cut even deeper.
That's not the way it feels.
You can hear the guy trying to hold it together, trying to convince himself he's fine when he's clearly fallen apart. The song's genius is in the details, though. The way the narrator asks the operator to keep the dime because he's trying to forget his old girl, and the fact that she's with his former best friend.
With my best old ex-friend, Ray.
There's this moment of realization where the protagonist understands that both of them are gone from his life, his best girl and his best friend. It's a romantic betrayal and the loss of a friend at the same time.
Operator, oh, let's forget about this call.
Now, Jim once said he wrote the song after working a late shift at a construction job, thinking about relationships that don't work out. That blue-collar perspective, it's all over this track. This isn't some abstract meditation on love. It's a working guy dealing with real pain the only way he knows how.
Kind. You can keep the dime.
The song reached number 17 on the Billboard Hot 100, which honestly seems so low for something so powerful. But its chart position, it doesn't matter anymore. Operator is one of those songs that DJs and music lovers have kept alive through the decades still.
Just wasn't real, but that's not the way it feels.
My number 2 pick here is I Got a Name.
And I carry it with me like my daddy did.
This song carries extra weight because it was released just days after Jim's death in September 73. It became a memorial and a defiant declaration from a man who'd spent his entire life fighting for recognition.
Rolling me down the highway, rolling me down the highway.
I Got a Name, that was written by Norman Gimbel and Charles Fox, the team behind Roberta Flack's Killing Me Softly.
Killing me softly with this song, killing me softly.
Jim recorded it as the title track for his third album, not knowing it would become his epitaph. The song captured everything that Jim believed about making your mark on the world despite the odds.
Moving ahead so life won't pass me by.
The track is all about persistence and dignity in the face of struggle. It's about having pride in who you are, even when the world doesn't seem to care who you are.
I've got a song, I've got a song.
That theme resonated deeply with Jim's own life. I mean, he'd spent years in obscurity playing for handfuls of people, wondering if anyone would ever hear his songs or appreciate them. But he kept going because he had a name. He had his music, and that meant something.
And I carry it with me and I sing it loud.
Musically, I Got a Name. It's more polished than Jim's earlier work, with a fuller sound that includes strings and backing vocals. Now, the song climbed to number 10 on the Billboard Hot 100, becoming Jim's 5th top 20 hit in just over a year.
Like a fool I am and I'll always be.
More importantly, though, it became an anthem. I mean, what makes this song so poignant is knowing that Jim finally got his name out there, finally achieved the success that he'd worked for his entire adult life, only to have it all end just as he was hitting his stride. I mean, when you listen to the song now, with that knowledge, it just takes on a different meaning altogether. It becomes about legacy, about leaving something behind that outlasts you.
Down the highway, moving ahead so life won't.
Now, Jim's widow, Ingrid, later said that Jim always believed his music would endure, even if he didn't live to see that. I Got a Name, it proved that exactly right. All right, so here's number 1, and it had to be this masterpiece, Time in a Bottle.
The first thing that I'd like to do.
I mean, this is Jim Croce's signature song, and it's crazy. For living such a short life, Jim had several songs that could be considered signature songs. But this one is so perfect in its simplicity. I mean, it's almost impossible to describe without diminishing it, though.
There never seems to be enough time to do the things you want to do.
Jim wrote Time in a Bottle after learning Ingrid was pregnant with their son, AJ. He was thinking about how we never have enough time with the people that we love. And this song is essentially a love letter to his unborn child, a meditation on wanting to slow down the clock and savor every moment. And believe me, I'm feeling this as I've got a son that's 17 and about ready to leave the house.
He passes away just to spend them with you.
Really, what makes Time in a Bottle absolutely devastating is the context of Jim's death. He wrote a song about wishing for more time, and then he ran out of it at 30 years of age. His son AJ was just a toddler when Jim passed away. He never really got to know his father. All he had were the songs, those messages in a bottle that his dad left behind.
If I could make days last forever.
Time in a Bottle, it was never intended to be a single. It was actually buried as track 8 on his 1972 album, You Don't Mess Around with Jim. The song might have remained there, just another deep album cut, if not for a stroke of fate. Get this, the producers of an ABC movie of the week called She Lives selected it for their soundtrack. When the TV audience heard the song's beautiful sentiment in the movie, there was an immediate emotional connection to it.
And dreams that had never come true.
The timing couldn't have been more poignant. It came just weeks after Jim's tragic death. After the broadcast, ABC network affiliates were inundated with calls from viewers asking where they could buy this song. The response was overwhelming. It was viral before viral was a thing. People wanted to own the song. They wanted to play it over and over again.
And dreams that had never come true.
Legend is, they got over 50,000 calls overnight and it brought their telephone system down. Croce's record label quickly pressed copies for radio airplay and the single took off like a rocket. It shot to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. A song that had been sitting there quietly for over a year suddenly became the most requested track in America.
Memory of how they were answered by you.
It was a bittersweet triumph, an aching testament to the power that Jim's music has to move us, all of us, the people.
To know you're the one I want to go through time.
Now, his son AJ still carries on his father's legacy as a musician, touring and performing his dad's music.
That you're the one I want to go through time with.
I love Jim Croce. There's my top 3. What did you think? What are your memories of these songs? What are your top Jim songs? Let's have a great discussion and celebrate Jim Croce below. If you like our content, we invite you to subscribe. Till next time, 3 chords and the truth, my friends.